so that it's not just so stiff staring at the screen, right? The other one, this is a personal favorite of mine. This one we're going to call number 3, okay? Thumbs up, right? Arms out perfectly straight across as best you can. It doesn't quite look that way because of the angle here, but straight across. And then you want to bend them back a little bit, okay? And you'll feel a little tension up in the upper chest here, but it's going to get better. You're going to feel the burn. You're going to rotate those thumbs down nice and slow. Ooh, yeah. Oh, boy. And then you can rotate them back up. Excellent. You can feel free to do that multiple times. It feels good. Maybe it doesn't feel good. You want to slowly work your way up to doing more, pulling your arms back further. Whatever you feel comfortable with doing, you should do. Next up, we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. We're going to do a little of this. Got to hug the ears a little bit. You know, maybe thinking, you're like, oh, I'm working on this bug. I don't know what's wrong. How do I fix it? I don't know. We're going to stretch out those shoulders. But then while we're also doing that, we're going to roll them back. Yeah. There we go. So up, back, and down. Up, back, and down. Those are some shoulder rolls that'll feel good for your shoulders, okay? Stretch number 5 coming in hot. We're gonna put our hands together like this, or you can grab your wrist. You can grab your wrist or put your hands together like this. You can put them up over your head and just rotate. Make sure you do not, get your arms touching your ears. You want to keep separation there. We already hugged our ears during the shoulder rolls. We don't need to do it anymore. And you're just gonna keep repeating on either side. Breathe out as you tilt to each side. And there we go. That's 5 stretches, but beyond that, feel free to do what feels right for you. Whatever you feel comfortable with. The key is to get up maybe, get moving, get your eyes off the screen, and feel better. Thank you. Enjoy.
Good morning or good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Christina Warren. I'm a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft, and this is Learn Together, an event all about building apps with Microsoft Teams. We've got a lot of great content for you, and we actually, in the spirit of Microsoft Teams, we are going to be learning together, hence the name. So we have watch parties set up all around the world where learners are tuning in with us in Learn Together mode, or rather in Together mode, so that we can learn together. And before we get started with the actual event, I wanted to go ahead and check in with one of our launch parties. So I'm going to go over to David Warner. David, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm great. So where are you based right now?
So I am in Los Angeles, California, but we are hosting a watch party for the Patterns and Practices community, which is a global community. So we have people from all over the world joining our watch party today.
I love it. Hello to Patterns and Practices community. I love to see all those faces. That's awesome. It's a global community, as you said. So that's actually kind of interesting. And that's kind of the cool thing, I guess, about, Teams and this whole kind of concept of what we're doing with Learning Together is that we can bring these communities in from all over the place, but still make it feel like we're together.
Absolutely, especially right now. It's important for us to all support one another. So Patterns and Practices is an open source, inclusive community, fosters collaboration and inclusion. We have things like community calls every week where everyone can show off things that they've created, solutions, and improve with one another. We have development resources and tools and documentation guidance. We even provide hands-on sessions with one another to help them learn how to take advantage of the tools and the resources that are available to them in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem and Microsoft Teams. And really, all of that is possible because we're using these fantastic tools such as Microsoft Teams.
That's fantastic. How long has the Patterns and Practices community been around?
A number of years now, and we've just seen the growth escalate this year, especially. The number of contributors has just gone through the roof. It shows how passionate everyone is about sharing. In fact, that's our motto: sharing is caring. So we love working together, collaborating. It's one community, global. It's like a family.
That's awesome. So where would you say is the person who maybe is furthest away from you in Los Angeles, California, in your watch party right now?
Well, we've got people in Germany, we've got people in Canada, we have people all over the world, I'd say. So in terms of sheer miles, I'm not sure. I could probably ask Cortana that, but they're all over the world.
I love it. And I love seeing people see somebody has a very festive hat on, which is fantastic. So you said, the Patterns Practices has been around for a number of years. You're talking about how it's really, kind of grown recently because of everything that's happened, in the last, 10 months or so. Talking about, I guess, maybe Microsoft Teams specifically, since that's what this event is about, what would you say is the biggest change that you've seen to Microsoft Teams in the last, let's say, 10 months?
Boy, it's just the rapid pace of new features to support the new norm for us that we're working within in around the world today. I mean, we need to collaborate and have tools to do that. And I think we saw features within Microsoft Teams that were scheduled to come out later this year or even next year that were brought out way sooner than expected. And that really encourages everyone to have that collaborative workspace that Microsoft Teams provides. So just seeing that rapid pace of innovation that Microsoft is providing to everyone in the community to empower us to do more with what we're provided with is amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that also kind of, I think it's great that it's empowering people to be able to build more and do more and get more of their jobs done. But as you point out, when features are pushed out maybe faster than people anticipate, does that put you, kind of in a position as, learners and as implementers of having to kind of feel like, okay, I have to get more of a grasp on certain features or certain technologies more quickly? Does it add any pressure to that?
Oh yeah, things are moving faster than they ever have in history, right? But that is wherein the power of the community comes to fruition. Yeah. We can't all expect to be experts in every little thing all the time, especially when that pace of feature innovation is moving as fast as it is. But together, we can learn. Someone had mentioned, I don't know everything, but I know someone who does. Tracy Vanderschiff in South Africa, right? That's a great motto because now we're working together to keep up. We're not working in silos or alone. We're using the technology to learn more about the technology. Kind of mind-blowing, really.
Totally. And I have to say, I love that. I don't know everything, but I know someone who does. I think that's perfect, and I think that actually encapsulates the spirit of learning together and of learn together all the way around. Is there anything that you or people in your watch party are most looking forward to, maybe kind of getting out of today's event, or things that cool things that you've discovered that you maybe want to pass on to others who might be watching from wherever they are in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a quick poll before on who has experience in Microsoft Teams development, and we have anywhere from brand new to experienced. So I think the beauty of this being a live stream and having these watch parties is the togetherness that we can provide, the inclusion, the empowerment to feel like we're doing this together. We're not watching it alone in a room. We're able to collaborate. And so I think that that's the message, is that we're all in this together. We're one big family, especially in the PNP community. And so I would encourage everyone to collaborate as much as possible, and don't be afraid to reach out and ask to collaborate.
I love that. Don't be afraid to reach out and collaborate. Don't be afraid to ask for help, because as you mentioned earlier, no one knows everything. We're all here to help one another, and that's what community is all about. David, thank you so much. Where can people, if they want to join the Patterns and Practices community, where can they go to learn more about that?
Absolutely. aka.ms/M365PNP is the Patterns and Practices community landing page. From there, you're going to find access to all the different initiatives. Together with me in the watch party today is Hugo Bernier and Louisa Fries, all over, again, all three of us all over the world. And so we're looking forward to hosting everyone. Pop in if you can. But yeah, aka.ms/M365PNP to learn all about the Patterns and Practices initiatives.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much to your watch party, for everybody joining us, and we can't wait to see you and engage with you later on.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it. It's very exciting.
Hey, what time is it?
Hey there, I'm Brian Clark, and you are joining me for a tech stretch. Just to get our eyes off the screen and, get some movement in our bodies. Yeah. So, first thing we're going to do, and one thing I want to let you know, is that the stretches we're going to go through here, they're going to be available to you as a worksheet later as some digital swag. So that way you can practice these beyond just right now. So feel free to join along with me or just observe. First of all, you're going to want to take a break. You're going to stop, reset. We're going to take a nice deep breath. through the nose, in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can do that a couple times. You can choose to keep your eyes closed or open, whatever you feel comfortable with. And that's stretch number 1. Stretch number 2, coming right at you. This one is for your head and for your neck, head and neck. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna nod our head. Yes, yes, I'm the best developer today in this room. Yes, yes. And then sometimes we're gonna be like, no, 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 I'm not. No, I am. And that is gonna help you get some, mobility in your neck so that it's not just so stiff staring at the screen, right? The other one, this is a personal favorite of mine. This one we're gonna call number 3, okay? Thumbs up, right? Arms out perfectly straight across as best you can. It doesn't quite look that way because of the angle here, but straight across. And then you wanna bend them back a little bit, okay? And you'll feel a little tension up in the upper chest here, but it's gonna get better. You're gonna feel the burn. You're gonna rotate those thumbs down nice and slow. Ooh, yeah. Oh boy. And then you can rotate them back up. Excellent. You can feel free to do that multiple times. It feels good. Maybe it doesn't feel good. You want to slowly work your way up to doing more, pulling your arms back further. Whatever you feel comfortable with doing, you should do. Next up, we're going to do some shoulder shrugs. We're going to do a little of this. Got to hug the ears a little bit. Maybe thinking you're like, oh, I'm working on this bug. I don't know what's wrong. How do I fix it? I don't know. We're going to stretch out those shoulders. But then while we're also doing that, we're going to roll them back. Yeah, there we go. So up, back, and down. Up, back, and down. Those are some shoulder rolls that'll feel good for your shoulders, okay? Stretch number 5, coming in hot. We're gonna put our hands together like this, or you can grab your wrist. You can grab your wrist or put your hands together like this. You can put them up over your head and just rotate. Make sure you do not, get your arms touching your ears. You want to keep separation there. We already hugged our ears during the shoulder rolls. We don't need to do it anymore. And you're just gonna keep repeating on either side. Breathe out as you tilt to each side. And there we go. That's 5 stretches, but beyond that, feel free to do what feels right for you. Whatever you feel comfortable with. The key is to get up maybe, get moving, get your eyes off the screen, and feel better. Thank you. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Learn Together Building Apps with Microsoft Teams. I'm Christina Warren. I'm a senior cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I'm so excited to be here with all of you virtually as we learn more and learn together about Microsoft Teams and building apps for Microsoft Teams. So we've got a bunch of sessions today that will show you how to get started, how to build new applications, how to integrate your existing applications. But before we get into that content, I wanted to bring in my friend Todd Anglin, who is the Principal PM Manager for M365 here at Microsoft, and he's also got Isabel London with him, who is from the Teams team. But Todd, I kind of wanted to start with you. What can we look forward to seeing today, and what are you excited about seeing today?
Morning, Christina. Thanks. I'm pretty excited today. We've got a lot to cover. We're going to cover a lot in the next, 122 hours, 120 hours, 120 minutes, 2 hours. But we're going to talk about how you build apps for Teams. A lot of us now are spending a lot more time on Teams. We all know that Teams usage has exploded here during the pandemic. There are 115 million daily active users. So we're spending a lot more time in Teams. It turns out that you can develop apps for Teams. There's a lot of extensibility points, and I think a lot of developers just don't even know what you can do. So we want to spend time today helping developers, helping you all understand why should you build these apps? Why should you extend Teams? What can you do? How do you do it? And we're going to cover all of that with a lot of guests and a lot of people helping us out here coming up.
Yeah, and I know we have Isabel, and Isabel, I said your name wrong earlier. I'm sorry, Isabel Lubin, who's here from the Teams team. So what exactly do you do on the Teams team? Will you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, and thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. I'm one of the product leads on Microsoft Teams platform. So one of the areas that my team looks after is making sure that developers of all backgrounds, any level of experience, have really great tools and resources for building awesome apps. So we try to make sure that wherever you're coming from, you have a way to build an app for Microsoft Teams.
Fantastic. And where are people kind of coming from? Like what are the types of developers or users even that we're seeing build Teams apps right now?
It's really all over the place. And that's actually one of the most exciting things to see is that we're finding that customers from any vertical, whether that's finance, healthcare, education, can really identify a way that they can improve Teams to really suit their needs. And so we're finding that there are tons of different scenarios and tons of different ways that people are extending Teams. And I think that's one of the real powers of platform is that we're building all of these different extensibility points and making it possible for you to make Teams your own.
Yeah.
So I know, Isabella, I was just mentioning how much Teams has grown in the last 9 months during the pandemic. And I know anytime you scale an engineering project that fast, that big, it's bound to make some things harder. Have you learned anything about how to do engineering as this has scaled up? Anything surprised you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really, really great question. And I think, we were listening in on one of the watch parties where they were talking about how exciting it is that really Teams has been able to innovate at that pace. And I think every time you really focus on scaling and innovation at the same time, you really need to make sure that you're able to balance those two different priorities. So I think just watching the team make sure that we're responsive and able to have a really, really great experience for all of these users as they onboard and critically need the Teams and the platform to work for them, while also being able to innovate. I think my one personal learning is the importance of caching. If you don't cache for long enough, then you have all of the clients hitting services to try to update. But also, if you cache for too long, then you have users with stale information. So really hitting that balance and making sure that you're thinking user first all the time has been really, really important for the team.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, what before we throw to our first session, I just wanted to know, what should developers keep in mind when they're building for Teams?
Great question. Number one, think about what your users are doing. I mean, they're in Teams, they're chatting with each other, they're having meetings. Think about what they're trying to accomplish, and think about how your app is going to improve what they're already doing. So if you're building something like an expenses app, when users are chatting with each other or in meetings, when might they need to use an expenses app, and what scenarios are you designing for? And we find that when you design scenario first and really think about what users are trying to accomplish, that you're going to end up building out really great apps.
Fantastic. Well, Isabel, thank you so much for talking with me. Todd, you and I are going to chat more a little bit later, but now we are actually going to go to our very first session where our own Burke Holland and Dan Whalen are going to present a fantastic keynote for us about bringing web apps to Teams. Check it out.
Thanks, Christina. Hi, everyone. My name's Dan Wallin, and I'm really excited to have you here with us to talk about how you can integrate new or existing applications into Teams. Whether you're working with a line of business application, a software as a service app, or an entirely different category of application, you can bring your apps directly into Teams and provide a more productive way for users to get work done. To start things off, we want to help you visualize how you might take a web app that you have today and bring it into Teams. Our app is an existing customer management app that people use daily to get their jobs done. Today, this app is only available in the browser, so let's begin by taking a look at the app, and then we can see how we can make a better experience for users by integrating the app directly into Teams. So here's what our customer orders app looks like. I've already logged in through the browser using Azure Active Directory, and this particular app uses MSAL, the Microsoft Authentication Library. So now that I'm in, I can view customers in different ways, as you can see here, and I can even get to orders if I'd like. Now, in an earlier sales meeting, Burke Holland and I had been talking about some new customers, and Burke is new to the company, and he asked if I could put a new customer he had in mind into the system. So I said I'd do that, so let me go ahead and we'll enter Jamie Jones, I think the name was. So let me do Jamie Jones at 1234 Cedar Avenue in Phoenix, Arizona. Let me assign Jamie to Burke here. Okay, so I'll officially insert Jamie. And now what should happen is an email will go out from the app itself, and Burke should get that, and he should be good to go. Now, it looks like I got a chat, actually. So let's see. Hey, Dan, new guy here. Did you add that customer yet? Also, when do I get my bonus? Well, first off, that was uncanny timing. But hey, whatever. And hey, he's motivated on the bonus, so I want to help him out. So, yeah, didn't you get the email? So he should have got an email that has a link to it. Let me check. Okay, let's see what he says. No, but I did get one saying I won the lottery. All I need to do is send my social security number. Yeah, definitely do that. Not. Okay, let me just say, check the app because he should have the link there and be able to get to it from there. Okay, checking. Can't log in. I just changed my password and everything in my life is broken. Okay, well, that's a problem. So probably the best way to handle this is we could just jump on a Teams call. So let me go ahead and take it from there.
Hey, Dan, what's up, man? Thank you for this completely impromptu and in no way scripted Teams call. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. Yeah, we didn't plan this in any way, shape, or form, but how's sales going at the company for you so far?
It's been a rough morning. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, you can't log in, it sounds like?
I can't log into anything. In fact, the only thing I can log into is Teams, which is pretty good because that's where I spend pretty much my whole day.
Well, I mean, that's a good start. So I'll tell you what, you want me to walk you through a different option here that you can use?
Yes, please.
It's actually super productive since you said you work in Teams all the time. So first off, you were trying to get to the app. So let me show you a little bit about that. You can actually get to it right inside of Teams. If you click on Teams to the left there.
Okay.
All right, you'll notice that you're on the wiki for general in the Learn Together sale. So it looks like you've already been there. That's great. Were you going to add to your own wiki, I guess? Is that what the plan is there?
Yeah, man, I was about to start writing that novel. Finally
Awesome.
going to get done right here in our team wiki.
That'll totally help with sales somehow. Well, anyway, see that Tailwind Trader CRM tab right up there?
Okay, just click on that.
Yeah, go ahead and click on that.
Hey, look at that. That's the app. I recognize that. And I saw it said I was logged in. How's that possible?
Yeah, so this is actually using single sign-on, which, if you're not familiar with that, basically your Teams credentials, because you're already logged into Teams, obviously, are flowing down into the app, so you're kind of auto-logged in. And then what the developers did is they created a Teams app, and that's what this tab is here, so that we could actually embed the actual web app. So this is the app that I normally use through the browser, but I could also go through Teams just like this.
Well, that's awesome. One less password to remember. But how do I find the customer that you just put in here?
Yeah, and that's something you can do it. So if you scroll down real quick, if you page through, maybe go to the third page, you could get to Jamie there. There's Jamie right there.
There they are.
You could also filter. They're trying to work on that. But let me show you a little easier way, actually, that's kind of a new feature we have that we can use in the app in Teams.
Okay.
You want to click on chat there real quick?
Alrighty.
All right. And see that Tailwind Traders bot there?
I do, but I haven't clicked on it because, Dan, I don't interact with random robots on the internet as a general rule of thumb.
That's probably a good idea, I suspect. Go ahead. This one's safe. It was created by our dev team, so go ahead and click on it. And it looks like Jamie actually shows there.
Hey, it automatically inserted the customer here and notified me. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so this is using something called a bot and using Azure bots combined with adaptive cards. So what you see there is a card. Let me show you a little bit about the bot. I don't know, you could type hello or howdy or type whatever you want there.
Hello? How about what is the meaning of life?
Yeah, give that a shot. I don't know if it's trained for that one, Burke, but...
Well, if it's a bot that's any good, then it's going to know the answer here. Oh, it does. Look at that. Perfect.
I think we're done here. Our work is done. I mean, is there any more you need?
Demo's over. Ship it.
So, okay, well, that's kind of cool, but obviously you probably want to use it for productive type thing. So go ahead and type like
Maybe.
help
Okay, help.
or help me or whatever you want.
Hey, are you lost? I'm a Tailwind Traders bot. I can help you with questions. Okay. So could I just say, get my customers here?
Yeah, go ahead and click on that.
Oh, I see. And then it puts a chat message in, and then, oh yeah, and then there's all the customers, including Jamie, the one that's just added.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So I don't even have to go to the app. But Dan, look at this. Natasha's name is still misspelled. I've told him 5 times it's N-I-T, not N-A-T.
That's probably my bad. I think you did mention that in the meeting. Go ahead and click on Natasha there. And
Just click on her name here?
Yeah, yeah.
But it needs to be changed in the app.
Yeah, go ahead. Just trust me. Trust me.
Oh, it took me right to her page in the app. Look at that.
So yeah, go ahead
Nice.
and edit Natasha here. And we'll talk about some other things this bot can do, which are kind of cool. So yeah, update
Just
that.
update.
Now you might have heard
Right.
a little chime there. Go back to the chat.
I did. I have a notification. I'm assuming that's the bot. Hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Updated customer. Her name is finally spelled correctly. Look at me already adding value here at Tailwind Traders.
Exactly. So you've kind of seen how the bots allow you to communicate, and not only can they show these adaptive cards in different ways of communicating through the app or even typing, but as you typed, like the meaning of life, that was actually calling in the cognitive services, which is an Azure service, and using something called Lewis and Q&A. So the developers in the company, I guess they just really customize the Lewis and the Q&A stuff so that we can go in and do these types of activities.
A bot with artificial intelligence. What a time to be alive. But
Very cool.
Dan, I don't spend most of my day on my computer. I spend most of my day on my phone. Can I still talk with the bot there?
You can. You can. In fact, do you have Teams installed on your mobile app?
I do. And in fact, believe it or not, I have it running and mirrored to my screen because that's just what I do every day.
Is that just how you roll?
It is. All right, so here's my phone coincidentally mirrored to my screen and sized perfectly for a screen recording, just happens to be. So what do I do here? I just interact with the bot?
You could interact with the bot if you wanted, yeah. Or if you click on Teams again,
Okay.
and then scroll on down back to that general channel, and click on More.
More.
And there you go, Tailwind Traders CRM. Go ahead and give that a shot, and this should load the app for you.
Oh, I can access the app directly on my phone. How does that? But I didn't even install anything from the App Store. It's just there?
It is. It is. It's part of the Teams app that I mentioned earlier with the tab that developers can add. That just automatically carries forward to wherever you're running Teams. So it could be Teams in the browser, Teams on desktop, Teams in mobile. You can get to it pretty much anywhere.
And I didn't even have to sign in. Clearly my favorite part.
Exactly. No passwords to memorize and all of that type of stuff. Very cool. We've only scratched the surface with what's possible as you bring your app into Teams, but you've seen that there's some very unique opportunities you can take advantage of as a developer and enhance the productivity of your users. And these are things that really you can only do if you bring your app into Teams. So to wrap things up, Burke, let's do a real quick recap of what we've gone through in this demonstration.
Okay.
So first off, we talked about how once your app is in Teams, you can leverage single sign-on, and that means the users can just be logged into Teams and they're ready to go. Now, I know if we switch back to your sales role, Burke, that was kind of a big deal, right?
Yes, as a salesperson, I found it extremely convenient that I don't have to log into yet another system. If I'm logged into Teams, I'm automatically logged into the app. And even better than that was the fact that we were able to interact with the data via a bot. And that bot can understand what I'm saying naturally because of Azure Cognitive Services like Lewis, which is natural language processing, and Azure Q&A Maker, which is what allows us to get to the data in the application from the bot. And better yet, now we know the meaning to life.
Very important, very important. And then finally, we talked about how once you have integrated your app into Teams, users can get to it through Teams on the desktop, in the browser, or even on mobile, and they don't have to install any additional download other than the Teams app itself. So it makes kind of a one-stop shop, you could say, to get to everything that the users need.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I got to be honest, Dan, all this seems kind of magical. So how do we know this isn't all just smoke and mirrors? What, code or it didn't happen is what I'm saying.
That's right. Well, fortunately, if you're interested in getting to the code for this and the setup procedures involved with it, you can go to the GitHub link that you see on your screen, and that will have everything you need for the application that Burke and I walked through.
Nice.
So with that, let me go ahead and turn things over to Christina.
All right, well, that was fantastic stuff from Dan and Burke. I'm going to bring in back Todd and Isabella to talk with us a little bit about what we just saw and some other things we can look forward to with developing with Microsoft Teams. Todd, let's go ahead and start with you. What are kind of your big takeaways from what we just saw from our opening with Burke and Dan?
Yeah, it's a cool demo. And what I love about what they showed there is I know a lot of us are in places where we have those line of business apps that are part of our daily lives that requires to go find a website, log in. And it shows how you can really simplify a lot of people's lives by bringing things into Teams, and how you can go even further and really streamline the way someone works by going even deeper into that integration with things like bots and some of the things Dan and Burke showed off. So hopefully, I think everyone got to see that it's a lot of different places you can integrate to Teams, and we're going to go now in the rest of the day and show you how to do what you just saw. So a lot of fun content to come. But I also want to point out that what we saw there was in the context of a line of business app, but the same concepts apply if you're a startup and you have a SaaS app and you want to think about integrating that into Teams, or maybe you're a student and you want to build something for your organization or your learning institution. All of these concepts apply the same. And so if you have an idea for building a Teams app, or you're thinking about building one, we want to help you. In fact, we've set up a forum where you can share with us a little bit about what you want to build, so we can actually set up some time as the developer advocacy team to talk to you about your idea and help you out. So head on over to akms/Teams App Consult, CONSULT, and give us a little bit of information and we'll reach out to you. We want to help you out. We want to help make your Teams app successful and hopefully guide you a little bit further down that path.
Awesome. So aka.ms/Teams App Consult. That's fantastic. Isabella, what did you think about that? That's a pretty cool demo, right?
It's really, really awesome. And I think just in general, we're really excited to see SSO coming out as well as one of the things that was highlighted there.
Yeah. So Isabella, what's the coolest app that you've seen developed for Teams so far?
A really hard question. I think in general, I love all of the apps that folks are building that address their really niche scenarios. So, in education cases, how students can stay engaged and things like that. I personally love Kahoot. It's an app that was actually first a standalone app and is now integrated into Teams. I use it for a lot of some of the internal onboarding programs that I help run. So that's one that I think really meets this niche that I have of wanting to be able to have interactive quizzing experiences that kind of break up some of these onboarding events that we hold.
I actually think a lot of the watch parties today are using Kahoot as well. So it's a great call out.
It's a great app.
Fantastic.
So I was going to ask you, Isabella, we saw a lot of sort of core features in Teams in that demo, but I know some of the people in today's live stream are experienced Teams developers. So for those who are a little more familiar with the platform, what should developers know that's maybe new in the platform, something new they can check out to go even deeper with their app dev journey?
Yeah, there are a lot of different areas that we're making investments in. I think just really in general, focusing on making sure that there are great tools for both professional devs and citizen devs. So the new Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code extensions that help you build out scaffold. The integration with Power Platform is really, really powerful and really helps folks get started building out apps quickly. I'm personally super excited about meetings extensibility, which is how you can start building apps for meetings. I think it's one of these ways that you can really see how apps can be fully integrated into what you're trying to do. And since we've released meetings extensibility, it's a feature that I've been using in probably every single meeting I have that really requires kind of deep interaction with the other people that are working with me.
So these are apps that like run in the meeting while you're meeting with other people. The app's right there in that surface.
Yep, you can access the app from the upper bar, and even in that polling example, we did a virtual offsite the other day, and we were using polls to kind of gauge sentiment while we were doing the offsite to make sure that all voices were heard. So that's a really, really great way that users can now interact.
Yeah, very cool.
That's awesome. So you told us like what app was one of your favorites. You love Kahoot. What is an app that the people you wish that someone would develop?
Oh, great question. Now that we've released meetings extensibility, all I want is an app that will play elevator music into the meeting in that 5-minute silence before everyone actually starts talking and you're kind of sitting there and do you say something? Do you not say something? I want to be able to just hit a button and start playing elevator music.
Do 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 do.
I love
Tap
it.
along.
I actually think that's a great idea, and that would go well with the app consult, right, Todd? Like that's something maybe people should reach out and learn more about building.
I think it's a great call out that there are all kinds of different apps you can build. It doesn't have to be just the line of business or the productivity scenario. I mean, people are spending their days and their time here. So elevator music app, sure. The sky's the limit, but send us those ideas. Let us help you out, help you figure out how to be successful. I also want to say, before we go back to kind of the next segment here and talking more about how you do this, that we know we can't teach you how to do all this in 2 hours. No one can learn and master a topic that fast. So we have prepared a free learning course on Microsoft Learn that's aligned to all the content you're seeing today. So you can go self-paced, go through all these topics, learn the deep ins and outs that you need to know to be successful. And we created a challenge around that to incentivize you to go through that content. So it's a Teams Learn challenge. And the first 35 people that complete the challenge will be eligible to win Xbox Game Passes. So we're not above bribery. Head on over there. Check out the Teams Learn Challenge, aka ms/Teams Learn Challenge is where you can find it. It will go live right at the end of today's event. And it'll give you a reason to go through that learning path, take what you've learned today, apply it, get hands-on, and hopefully build that elevator music app for Isabella here. So she has that app in her app catalog.
Indeed. Fantastic stuff. Check out that link, aka.ms/Teams Learn Challenge. As Todd said, we are not above bribery. And now we're going to go into our next section from Aisha and Tommy. Check it out.
Thank you, Christina. Wow, we just saw a great demo from Dan and Burke. Tomomi, what do you think?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And it tells us a lot of possibilities with Teams platform. I hope that makes you want to build some apps too. Yes, I'm talking to you who are watching this right now. And thank you so much for tuning in. So, how are you all doing? I hope you've been enjoying this event so far. And we have live learners here to learn together with us. So, Chloe, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm learning so much. I already use Teams, and now I know I can build stuff on top of that.
Ooh. How about Anthony?
I love the demo. It was awesome. I'm looking forward to learning more.
Nice. All right, cool. So in this segment, we're going to show you the developer platform capabilities and tools. Now, my name is Tomomi, and I'm a cloud advocate here in San Francisco. And
hi, I'm Aisha, and I'm cloud advocate too, based in Dubai. Where are you all watching from? We have Lisa, Daniela, Luis.
Needed in this space. And
hi, I'm Lisa and I'm watching from Redmond, Washington.
Hi, I am Daniela and I'm watching from Peru.
Hi, I am Louise and I'm watching from Germany.
Awesome. Nice.
So, shall we get started? Tomomi, I know that you were working on a series of Teams developer tutorials for beginners. I think you should be the best person to summarize what Teams developer platform lets you do.
All right, yeah, let's see. You can send messages, which also trigger notifications. This message can be in a rich format, like task modules and cards with inputs and buttons. And you can extend the Teams feature like search commands. Or you can use a full screen canvas to embed your web app.
That's neat. By the way, do you remember we were discussing a long time ago how nice could it be building apps for meetings? Seems like it's available now.
Yeah, you can build in-meeting apps too, and the feature is currently in preview. So it will be really exciting to see more apps on meetings.
Yes, it will be awesome for sure. What about Teams developer platform capabilities? What kind of apps can we create with all these great features?
All right, so we've got tabs for the full screen experience, bots for conversational tasks, and a messaging extension to let users invoke commands from UI. It also supports incoming and outgoing webhooks, so you can make Teams to interact with the third-party apps and services. Okay, let me walk on the key capabilities with my drawings. So the first one is tabs, where you can display information in visual interface. So you can see there are tabs on top, and you can add your own custom tabs here too. And clicking one of those, it displays a full screen view.
By the way, we use these custom clock app in our team too. That's awesome. And our teammate Bob made it. It's quite useful in our team, especially.
Yeah, so the team clock is a good example. We can view everybody's time zones and the current day and time. It's useful because we are a globally distributed team. Yay. And some business analysis too. You might want to create a cool data visualization like this. The basically taps a web app embedded in an iframe in Teams client.
It would be nice to have dark mode too. I'm a dark mode person.
Yeah, so Teams SDK does support dark mode and high contrast mode. So you should definitely add the feature to your app. Tabs are great, especially for web developers. You can use your favorite frameworks like React or Vue, or even no frameworks at all. Just use that with Teams SDK to bind your web app to Teams.
Yeah, so your tab is a web app. You developers can also debug your web apps with browser dev tools, just like how you usually inspect your web app in Edge or Chrome, however you like.
That's right. Another capability I want to show here is bots. So bots can have a conversational interface between a user and a bot. Let's say a user says something like, "Hey, bot," and the bot replies, maybe greet back, and say hello.
Hey.
The user can make a command to the bot. Let's say, "Make me a sandwich."
Can bot really do that?
Not really. Maybe not making a physical food, but can generate an order. So I order a pizza for you. And you can display some images or UI components here too. And maybe this pizza scenario is not so realistic, but you can create all kinds of automation in this conversational UI. So bots are totally different from tabs in nature. So you need a different set of technologies. We offer a bot frameworks, which is a powerful platform to build chatbots for web, mobile, and other platforms, including Skype, also third-party platforms like Twilio, Slack, and so on. And you can use a Teams-specific handler to create a conversational UX for Teams.
Also, you can make your bot smarter with cognitive services such as language understanding or Q&A maker, power of AI.
Yeah, AI is super cool. And also you can leverage Microsoft Graph API, which allows you to get in Teams and user data such as, well, user presence. Or you can combine with the newly released Graph to-do skills on bot framework, so bots can remind users to do something. Well, Rabia and Bob will talk more about Graph later, so stay tuned. Yeah, next one is messaging extensions. And this feature comes with two different types, search and action, and I'll explain search commands first. The command can be invoked by a user from two places, and one of them is a search box right here. Let's say Stocks app is already installed, where anybody can look up that ticker symbol like MSFT, then enter, and the result shows up in the dropdown here. Microsoft and 300. Yeah, I hope.
That's very optimistic.
Yeah. Another place to invoke the app is the compose area. So by clicking the app icon here, you get the pop over and you get the same app. And you can enter a query. FT. Yeah, then get the result right here too. Yay. The difference is that the result can be shared to the team. So you can press that button to post a message. And then that can be, displayed in message view right there.
So this one must be different. It is action command, right? Not search.
Yep, so that's messaging, extension, and that's action commands. So this command is invoked by a user from any one of these messages. Now, when a user hover a message, I get that little menu with emoji and all those things. So click that last one, dot, 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 that gives you a drop-down menu. Then click more actions right there. That gives another drop-down menu. And which, there is names of apps that use that feature. So click one of those that makes some actions. Something like generating a report or something. And yes, the result can be sent as a reply in the thread of the original message if you want. So to build these features, the tech stack is actually same as bots. They're just different presentations and interactions.
Yes, and also Microsoft offers the open source adaptive cards. You can create UI snippets for web and mobile, and you can also use it with Teams app development too. Stay tuned for the next sessions to learn more about adaptive cards and Graph API. So it's always the next question when we get so excited about the technology, right? Where to get started, what to install.
All right. Yeah, so it's better to mention the Teams dev tools. To begin your new project, you can use a command line tool or Teams toolkit. That both gives you an app scaffolding. We also use App Studio to create an app manifest and let you install and distribute your app. You probably want to use ngrok for localhost tunneling during the development. But once you finish, you will need to deploy your app to, well, let's say, to Azure.
Well, so you actually described very well. We have two different great tools. Developers can use any of them depending on their preference.
Oh, yes. For example, your team generator is for developers who prefer to create apps with TypeScript. If you like CLI development, your teams could be the good choice for you.
Exactly, nice one. On the other hand, Microsoft Teams Toolkit is for developers who prefer to build Teams apps directly within Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code. It's a new evolving extension. If you prefer visual guidance, Toolkit might be your choice. You can check the related links if you want to learn more about these tools, and let's try to build apps using both of the options. What do you say?
All right, so what are you going to build with these tools, Aicha?
I'll create a tab using your Teams and a bot using Teams Toolkit. So we will get a chance to see both of the tools as well as both type of applications. So let's get started. I'll create a folder and call it Teams tab. Then I'll open it in Windows Terminal. I will type your Teams. I already installed the tool, so it should work. I'll choose the default name Teams tab. I'll create a subfolder for my solution. Then I'll choose the default tab Teams tab and default company name Contoso. Let's go for the latest stable version 1.8. Then I'll skip the partner ID part. Feature of the Teams app can be any of the following, but for this demo, I'm just going to create a tab. Then I'll go for the default host name. You can change any of the following settings later, but for now, I'm just going to say no to loading indicator, header bar, test framework, or application insights. You can add all of them later. So default name will be Teams tab. Then I'm going to choose personal static as a type, and I'm going to skip this, no. Then this will create my project. Once it's done, I'm just going to type code dots and I'll open my project in Visual Studio Code. There we go, code dot. Yay, so this is my project. All tabs are actually web apps, so this one is in TypeScript. Let's quickly run our tab. I'll open my terminal here and I'll go in my project folder, cd Teams tab. Then I'm just gonna run gulp ngrok serve. So now ngrok is tunneling my localhost 3007. Let's just test our tab on Teams. I'll quickly go to Teams and I will sign in with my demo tenant.
All right, so let's highlight here. So developers can get a free tenants from M365 Developer Program. It's a free program and great for testing and debugging.
Definitely, I'm using one of those right now. So, okay, to test my tab, I will go and click 3 dots on the left-hand side menu. And I'm just going to choose more apps on the bottom. I'll scroll down on the left-hand side and choose upload a custom app for me and my teams. Under my project folder, there's a package folder. I'll choose this zip file and open it. On Teams, I'll edit. And yep, there we go. Our tab is now running on Teams.
Yay!
So it's done with your Teams. Shall we move forward with Teams Toolkit?
All right, but Aija, before you start, where can we get that toolkit?
Developers can get Toolkit extension in Visual Studio Code under Extensions part. Once it's installed, Teams icon will appear on the left-hand side menu. I'll just go ahead and click on it. Then I'll create a new Teams app. So to continue, I need to sign in so that when I create an app, it will automatically be added in my Teams App Studio. I will allow signing in. Then I'll be directed to capabilities. I'm going to choose bot and next. Then I'll give it a name, any name you like. And after that, I'll create a new bot registration under bot framework. Once it's done, I will have bot ID, password, and registered under bot framework. I'm just going to finish it. I need to create a folder under my desktop for my project. There we go. Our bot project is created. After this point, it's all about following the README guidance. There we go. So first step is just checking dependencies if we have Node.js, ngrok, or Enter65 developer account. And the next step is setting up ngrok. Before we move forward, Tomomi, would you like to explain why do we use ngrok at all?
Sure. Because Microsoft Teams is an entirely cloud-based, it requires all services to be publicly available using HTTPS endpoints. So to make your app work with Teams, you need to either deploy your app to the cloud server or create a local running instance that is externally accessible. So we can do that with ngrok, which creates an URL for a port that opens locally.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Tomomi. And now I'll show you how to work with ngrok. Let's continue with our steps. I'm just going to copy this line and open my ngrok. I already installed, so I'm just going to paste the script. Enter. Okay, so my ngrok is tunneling 3978. I'm just going to copy this URL, and after that, let's move forward. Next step is updating bot framework messaging endpoint. I'll click on bot section here. Then I'll allow signing in. After that, under existing bot registrations, I'll find out our bots. And if we scroll down on the right side, we will see bot endpoint address. I'm just going to copy my ngrok URL /API/messages. On the right side, once we see the green tick, that means we're done. Let's turn back to our documentation for the final step. Our final step is just build and run. I'm just going to type npm install first. And npm start. Awesome. Our project is running on localhost 3978, which we're tunneling. Let's go to Teams and test our bots. I will sign in with my demo tenant again. There we go. I'll go to 3 dots on the left-hand side and I'll choose App Studio. This is my App Studio. I'll go under Manifest Editor and here we go. This is my bot. I created already. I'll click on it. And you can see all of your bot details under app details. And if you scroll down on the left side, you will see bot endpoint URL and also bot ID and password. To test this, if you scroll down on the left, just click on test and distribute, install and add. This will direct us to our bot. Yeah, there we go. So I'm just going to type hello and bot replies me, hi, my name. Then I will try something else. Hi there. And it just pops up with adaptive card with a button. Let's click. And it's again, hi, my name. So congratulations, our bot we built using Teams Toolkit is working on Teams too.
Wow, that was great. Now you know what you can do with Teams platform and which tools to use to build apps.
Are you all ready to build some amazing apps? We hope so. Stay tuned for the next sessions to learn more. Bye, ladies.
Bye. So thank you so much for watching. And back to you, Christina.
That was fantastic. I loved that demo. I loved that session, the CLI bit. Really excited me. But next, we're going to kick over to a little bit of a break. We're going to see some videos from our friends Chloe and some other people, and then we're going to come back and check in with our watch party. So see you in a bit.
Hey y'all, Chloe Condon here, and today I'm going to show you how to make your own personal office assistant in under 60 seconds using things around your house. That's right, we are crafting Clippy. I've only got a limited amount of time, so I'm going to get right into it. So I'm just starting out with a sensible piece of gray clay here. Everybody's Clippy is going to be different, right? I feel like everybody's Clippy has its own personality. Mine's going to be kind of sassy. It's going to have kind of this arm out like this. Now, if you're anything like me, you just have a caboodle full of eyeballs. So you can pick an eyeball that suits the Clippy that you're making. You can have classic Clippy, or if you're like me, maybe you want to do something a little bit more sassy with eyelashes. Ooh. Looking a little tired here, pre-coffee Clippy. And that, everyone, is how you make your own Clippy. Put this baby in the oven for a couple minutes and voila, you can have some Clippies just like these earrings you see right here. Happy coding, everyone.
A lot of people really seem to underestimate Tasmania and see us as this tiny little island away from the rest of the mainland. My direct team's actually based in Melbourne, but being able to create group chats and have that visual connection through video calls has helped us tremendously, especially this year. In 2020, a lot of organisations had a really rapid deployment of Teams and were forced to learn on the fly. We put together a series of short and snappy Teams tips and tricks videos, which have been super well received. One of the most popular videos was how to add Snapchat filters to your Teams video calls. One of the main platforms we use for our internal communication is LiveTiles Reach, which actually sits as an app within Teams, as well as a variety of other platforms. I can post my latest updates or videos through there without having to context switch through different platforms all the time. This year in particular has put a huge emphasis on the value of connecting your people and bringing content to the places where they're already working. For us, that's Teams.
What a great story. That was fantastic. And welcome back to Learn Together. I'm Christina Warren. And if you're just joining us, this is our great event just all about, building apps with Microsoft Teams. And I'm going to go now to one of our virtual watch parties that we've got all over the world. I'm bringing in Martin, who is with the Dutch Information Workers User Group. Martin, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Hi, Christina.
And nice to see everyone in your user group. So what time is it where you are right now?
We are based in the Netherlands, and it's, about 6:45 p.m. right here.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. So tell me a little bit about your user group and tell me about how you use Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Teams.
Oh, absolutely. So we are the Dutch Information Worker User Group, and we cover basically everything that's Microsoft related when it comes to collaboration. So there's a lot of SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, Power Platform, and we organize user group meetings about once every 2 months, online these days, obviously, but they used to be in person as well when that was still possible. And we cover everything from a development perspective to an IT admin and business perspective as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what feature would you say that you are either most looking forward to coming to Microsoft Teams or has been the most useful to you that's happened with Microsoft Teams that's come out in the last few months?
Oh, I think breakout rooms is definitely one that we've been anticipating on for a long time, but also the very small features, the one that was just released with the 5-minute warning when a meeting is going to end, the features like that, I really like those. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I love that your user group is watching and helping us learn together. All of you at home who are learning with us, we definitely want to hear your feedback. And now I'm going to pass things off to Barnum and Valderick, who are going to talk to us more about embedding your apps with Microsoft Teams.
Hey, thanks, Christina. And hello, everyone. You have joined us for quite a few minutes already, and we're really excited that you're learning together with us so far. I'm Barnum Bora, and I lead dev advocacy here for Teams and Graph here at Microsoft. And yes, I'm joining you via the power and magic of Teams from right here down under here in Melbourne, Australia. Today, I'm being joined by a very special, extremely European, very Dutch partner in crime, all the way from Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. Make some in-meeting noise for senior dev advocate, former MVP, and Microsoft 365 developer community extraordinaire, Mr. Waldeck Mastercars.
Hi, everybody. With that, I have nothing else to add, other than that we have brought here a group of folks who want to learn with us. So I'd like to give them a chance to say a few words about who they are, where they're watching from, and we'll take it from there.
Cool. I'll go first. My name's Donovan Brown. I live here in Houston, Texas, and I am a principal cloud advocate here at Microsoft.
Hi, I'm Julie Turner. I'm a partner with Simpraxis Consulting, and I am in southern New Hampshire in the United States.
My name is Abel, principal cloud advocate and the DevOps lead at Microsoft, and I live in Seattle, Washington.
Hi, I'm John Papa, and I'm also a cloud advocate, and I do a lot of web development out there and storytelling, and I currently live in Orlando, Florida.
Hey, awesome. Thanks for the intro, learners. I hope you're in for the ride with us. And everyone out there who's watching, thank you for joining us once again. So, Waldeck, our learners have already, they've had a cool chat with Isabella, who's from the Teams product team, and Dan and Burke, at the top gave us a great demo on a complex enterprise app. That's a scenario that boosts productivity for a sales team in a CRM style app. We also just before this heard from Tomomi and Aicha, who gave us a cool rundown of what a Teams app actually is, and what are the nuances and the different types of areas of development you can try and people can try out. But a little learner buddy told me that they really want to know what we are really going to talk about and show today. So why don't you give us a bit of an essence of what we're really going to talk about for the next few minutes in our segment?
Sure. So in a gist, right? Like we learned, there are multiple types of apps you can build for Teams. You can build a bot, you can build a tab, right? So in this segment, we'll talk about how you would bring existing web app, bring that into Teams as a tab.
So why don't we kind of dive into it straight away, Waldek? Like, where would somebody, let's assume we take the app that we saw an example of earlier on, and both you and I, and I'm sure a lot of people online, have built an app like that or something similar in the past. So where would somebody start? Why is it important to think about a few things that matter when you're building for Microsoft 365 platform? And the opportunity of reaching 115 million daily active users, how would somebody start? Where would they go?
Right, so I guess there are a few angles from which you can start, and the one that I choose often is auth. Like auth, like we all know it, right? So auth is probably the hardest part of dev, because until you can authenticate, you can't really do anything. Like none of these APIs are anonymous, right? So until you can connect to Microsoft Graph or to get the data, like you need to authenticate, right? So that is the first step you need to do. And for some folks like, well, so is it harder to do a regex, compute time zones, or do auth, right? So like I say, you know what, like, well, it takes a few things to get right, but it is that very first step that empowers you to really make use of the accounts you already do for that you already have for work, as opposed to having to have like post-it notes around your screen with different credentials for every app you use, right? So that is the first step. Like if you have an app and you want to bring that into Microsoft 365, I would say the first step, ensure that you can use your work account to sign into your app.
Like, look, I think that itself makes me excited, because I think I've sort of fallen into the trap of building some fake username password databases just to test things out. So you're telling me that I've been not following best practice for a long time. So Waldek, we've seen a few demos about the app before. So where should somebody start? I know let's assume a developer has an app, or organization has an app that solves a business problem for them. Where would be the first place? What would be the first thing? What's the big force enabler that they should enable when they try and bring that app to Microsoft 365 or Teams? Let's talk about that. Let's see it.
Absolutely. So when you have an app, right? I mean, that app is not available to everybody anonymously, right? Because it has access to your customer data, orders, right? So there's always this first step. You have to authenticate. So how do you, Barnum, solve auth? Like, how do you build auth in your apps?
That's a funny question, because I remember from a conversation we were having before that I've not been doing. You've been greatly pointing out that I've not been doing best practice, where for random tests I've been generating username and password and putting that in a JSON file and trying to do random things. I used to be a machine learning guy, and that's how I did a lot of things. So can you show me what the best practice needs to be, and why Microsoft 365, why the Microsoft Graph, why Teams, auth, and why Active Directory is really where I should be investing more time in, and what our developers really get as an inherent capability within the platform?
Sure. So it's like whenever you build a web app, like you probably have exactly what you see now on a screen, right? You have a login page that asks you to provide either login name or email and password, like, and then you enter that, and like you will with that authenticate to the app. So you will get access to all info that you have stored in the app. In our case, customers and orders. And in this case, like you need a separate set of credentials for this app, and chances are that for every other app you use, you will have different set. At the end of the day, your monitor is filled with post-its or like December 2020_1 exclamation mark, so like you try to like create more credentials that you can keep in mind for different apps, right? And that just at scale doesn't work. Plus it just doesn't make sense, because you already have one account. You have one account that's used for your Outlook, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. So why not use the same account to log into your line of business apps, right? So that is exactly...
Excites me. Tell me more, Waldek.
Exactly, exactly. So like for me, when you think about bringing your LOB apps to Microsoft 365, like that is the first step. Ensure that users can use their work account and sign in with the same account that they use everywhere else into your LOB app. And the experience is very much the same, right? So you come here to a login page, like, and you see a login option, but there is no more login form in here because at this stage, you as a dev, you're not building the auth mechanism by yourself. You don't need to have database with usernames and passwords, hashes, password recoveries, reminders, and whatnot. Like all of that is going away because now you choose to buy into or to actually use Azure Active Directory, which you already have available. Right, so in here, imagine that we refactored this app and we want to use AAD, as it's called for short, to authenticate in this app with your work account. Right, so here you will click login, and in here you see a login form, but that login form is coming from Azure Active Directory. This is not a login form that you would build in your app. You get this for free, right? And in there, you will enter the same email that you use for work, password that belongs to it, right? And with that, you get immediate access to this app, right? So you still have access to customers, orders, and whatnot, but none of the auth part, like you need to build by yourself. And that saves you a lot of time, not to mention you get for free things like multi-factor auth, like the ability to also authenticate with your phone, or things like access that policy, right? That your company can say you can only access this app from a laptop that we as a company own and not from your own, right? So these are all the different things you get for free.
You know, this every time I speak to the friends who work in different companies or building apps, very much like this. And I know we've talked about this before, but every time I say that, hey, using Azure Active Directory, which for those of you who don't know, underpins pretty much all of the authentication for pretty much everything that Microsoft does, especially in the cloud, and it's almost the default the default identity management platform that a lot of enterprises across the globe use. So the ability for a startup or anybody who's building an app or an ISV to actually quickly integrate with Azure Active Directory and utilize the baseline capability of identity and access management that automatically makes them able to plug in directly into the enterprise identities that exist for millions and millions of people who work in these large and different size companies. That is a big force multiplier that kind of opens a lot of doors for these companies as well. So this is what really excites me. And I think devs who are watching us are watching this should definitely go and try and make sure that their apps are able to quickly plug into an enterprise identity graph.
Absolutely. And I guess maybe this is also a time for us to ask folks that we have with us, like, what kind of, like, when you build apps, do you build your own auth, or do you try to tap into systems that are already there?
Well, I guess it all depends on what type of app you're writing, right? I mean, if you're writing a standalone web application that's not tied to your organization, then you're definitely going to have to retrofit this to that scenario if you're going to bring it into Teams. But it all depends on my target audience. If I'm working for the enterprise, I'm probably going to go as close to AAD or some type of centralized auth as I can get. If I'm standing up my own, I don't know, selling widgets as I moonlight, then I'm not going to. I'm going to use Forms authentication and roll it myself.
Yeah, cool.
So
most of the applications at large enterprises you already have got some kind of authentication store, as Donovan was saying. So a lot of places that I've worked or consulted at or taught with, it's not optional to use a new auth store. You have to integrate with whatever's there, and quite often it's AD.
Yeah, thanks, John and Donovan. I mean, that's exactly what I think it excites devs when we speak about this. Even and then when we talk about bringing this into Teams, that's where we want to go next. Waldek we've just discussed why it's such a huge force multiplier to be able to plug in, integrate, and utilize the identities and access management and all the policies that already exist, and basically the goodness of identity management, and utilize that in an app. But then now, how do we sort of bring that into an experience where the users, Teams, 115 million daily active users. This is pretty much well and truly becoming the operating system of work for a lot of us. We're only able to do something like this, where we're conversing across time zones, across global multi-thousand-mile distances, primarily because of an environment like this. So, when somebody talks about bringing their app into Teams, where would they start? How do they go about it? And integrate with the goodness of Teams. So let's talk about that a little bit, Walter.
The first step, the easiest step to bring your app is to build it as a tab, because that brings the whole app as is, with as little work as you can do, right? And that will make the whole app available within the context of Teams, right? So here, like what you see now on the screen is like channel discussions in Teams directly. And here on the left hand side, we now launch our app that has been exposed into Teams. You see now on the screen that we have access to all customers, we can view orders, so we have access to the whole app, but we are still in Teams. People don't need to go into a separate bookmark, browser tab that they have, switch back and forth, no matter where they are in Teams, right? Because like we now chose to build this app as personal Teams app, and that means that app is available to users no matter where in Teams they are, whether they are in files or channels. They can quickly access this app directly from the left rail and open that directly within the context of their work, meaning less switching back and forth. And also, again, because we chose the first step to use AAD for auth, they don't need to authenticate. And we will go more in depth about what you have to do exactly to have that single sign-on experience for your app exposed in Teams to make it really seamless for people to use your app.
Yeah, I have a question about the way that you're
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so you have a web application that you're going to port, but we're still going to leave it as a web application for those outside of Teams. So right now I'm noticing that there's a logout button on there. Is there a way for me to know if I'm running inside the context of Teams or if I'm running in the web proper, so that I can maybe change the theme that I'm using or remove some of the Chrome that I have? Because I don't necessarily need a logout button if I'm actually SSO inside of Teams, right?
Yes, that makes sense. Like that is a perfect thing that you would actually do, right? So we use that to do SSO in Teams. So if you open this app in context of Teams, we know it, right? So we can tap into your identity that is exposed to us through Teams. If you don't use this app in context of Teams, if you just go to a URL bookmark because you are not in Teams, well, then there is no context of Teams, and that is given to you. Like, you can access that in your app, and as you say, you can adjust the UI UX of your app based on the fact whether you are inside Teams or not.
Awesome.
So you're saying, Waldek, basically the fact that we enable the ability to use single sign-on through Teams, where it's a fully seamless experience. You can actually get rid of the Chrome that doesn't make sense here, and just utilize the best bits of the app that really makes sense in the context of that user or that pane or that tab, right?
Exactly.
Actually, come to think of it, like, folks who are watching, like, you don't necessarily have to actually bring the whole app into Teams. There are a lot of different parts or different types of apps that were discussed earlier on, and you hear more about later. Like, it may make sense just to bring a bot experience here. It may make sense just to build adaptive cards into chats, which allow people to interact with parts of an app or parts of a database or parts of an interaction in a full-on scenario of building a solution for a business outcome. So what we're showing here is how to integrate a very visual application in a tab-like environment. Waldek, I just want to change gears a little bit. We've talked about this before, and and every time I speak to someone who hasn't experienced Teams development so far, I tell them that, hey, you know what? You can make your existing web app really easily available on Teams through something which is actually quite trivial to actually do, but very powerful in its sense, which is just having a manifest that gets has all the parameters and gets uploaded, and then suddenly your web app, which lives on a browser for most people who are using it in their browsers, suddenly becomes a Teams app and is available on devices with Teams auth and everything. So can we just talk about the manifest and the power of it a little
Code.
bit?
So basically, in other words, so there was like a really long preamble to ask like, show me code. All right, cool. Right, so the app you have seen, like this is the project that we have in VS Code, and in that we have two parts, right? So first we have the web app itself, which is built in Angular. So this is just like nothing else than an Angular web app with all its controllers, modules. There's also a little bit API there, but this is just like nothing more than an Angular app, right? Built with tooling that you would know in Angular. And then we have this another bit that we have added specifically for Teams. And the key part is, Barnum, you mentioned the manifest. So the manifest is a file that describes the shape of your app and says, okay, so this is my app. It has a name, icon, and it has either tabs or bot and whatnot. So these are the different things that you would include in manifest. And since it's just a file, like you could edit that in VI or Vim. Like I never can remember how to exit it, so I stay away from that. But there's also tooling that we offer, right? So we have Teams Toolkit for VS and VS Code. We have Yo Teams, right? That allows you to use the same experience that you would use to create any other new web app.
So developers not actually building this from scratch, right? So there's what the experience is pretty much, hey, here's my app. Yeah, and we have tooling that really enables you to like generate what is the wrapper that makes that app pretty much behave as an inherent extension of the capabilities of Teams. So it's not a jarring experience to the user, right?
Absolutely, right? And we have tooling that goes all the way from command line that you might know from other apps to through more wizard-based experience that you would visually go through, follow step by step, and then you end up with a working manifest and an app.
Cool. Waldek, again, in just changing gears a little bit for folks like myself, who are stuck at home in lockdown. This whole 2020 has been a very tough year, and we've not actually been able to meet as a team. We work across the globe, and it's been quite challenging. So one of the things we've tried to do, obviously, at Microsoft is to make our collaboration software as real as possible and try and replicate the same experience as trying to be in a team, in a room, in the same room, and collaborate as much as we can. And you told me that the best collaboration environment that one can actually work in is in front of a whiteboard. So in that notion, I know there's something new that the team's product team has launched, which some of it has already gone live and some of it is coming live very soon, which is the meetings extensibility. So we're not going to show meetings extensibility today, but let's talk about meetings extensibility a little bit, Waldek.
To me, there is nothing better than having the ability to stand together with someone next to a whiteboard and chalk and talk, right? Like draw things, because I think visually, I think in pictures. So I need to see things to really grasp them. And like typically up until now, like you would have a call with somebody and you would talk about things, but then like you would draw something else where you would try to share screen where somebody will like kind of draw stick figures in paint. Like that doesn't work, right? So like what if we can improve that experience?
And so basically, you're saying that somebody who's building an app today, they could build an app which could be a web app in itself, could be a Teams tab app, but you can actually go into a Teams meeting and attach an app to a meeting where instead of doing a screen share and showing somebody what you're doing on a sort of a dumb video screen, you're actually interacting live with a rich app, right?
Absolutely. And that app, so imagine our CRM, Like with that, you will get access to orders, and everybody can interact with them live, right? So if you do a change, I can do the change too. I don't need you to tell you, like, Barnum, can you go a little left? No, the other left. Like, can you move this order? Can, like, no. So we can truly collaborate in a meeting on the same data. And for a part, like, imagine that these apps are powered by Fluid Framework, right? Like framework that truly allows real-time collaboration.
So I have a question. You were sort of saying that you could have these apps be in multiple different places. So you're saying you would use this manifest to define all the different places where your app could then show up. So if your app could be used in a meeting, or could be a tab, or might be better off as a personal app, you can just configure multiple different entry points right in this manifest?
That is exactly right. So inside a manifest, you create a manifest for your app, and in there you can list all the different shapes in which your app is exposed into Teams. So as you said, it can be a tab, it can be bot, meeting extension, or an app that is available in meetings. So all these different places you would then list inside a manifest.
This is the beauty of actually parameterizing so much of it and making it available in a manifest, right? So so we can do these kind of scenarios where it could be a sidebar app, it could be a multi-user, multi-thread app, and being able to collaborate in a meeting live, this is what excites me about this. Personally, we do a lot of meetings here at Microsoft, and I'm sure everybody watching does too many meetings already. So what excites me about this is basically we don't have to have meetings about what we did in the past. So the agenda is not about reviewing the past or planning the future. The agenda could actually be about getting stuff done in the present and actually doing things together. And that's in the interest of learn together, I think it's about build and do together as well. And that's what sort of really excites me about this in-meeting extensibility capability that's coming to Teams. So Waldek, we're at sort of at time with our segment. So any closing thoughts on this that you have that you want the learners to take away?
Absolutely. So I would encourage everybody to give this a try. Like if you have an app, right? No matter if it's Hello World or if it's CRM or anything else you might have built in the past, like really give it a try. Try to have that app show up in Teams, because the moment you will see it, you will start thinking about what are the different things you could do more with that, because now your app is available to users where they already are. And we have a learning pad that will take you step by step, like explaining you the basics, like how you build different apps, what you can do, all the way to SSO and the very detailed things you have to do for auth. So I would really encourage you, give this a try, and then when you do, tell us back what you think of it, where we can improve.
Cool. So for those of you interested, if you want more information about what we shared in today's session, you can go to aka.ms/learn together, which is also the site for this particular event. But also, if you want to learn about that learn path, which Waldek was speaking about, where we really go through in depth and teach you how to actually get started and how to get to an outcome of actually having your first Teams app ready to go, then you can go to aka.ms/dev-apps for Teams and actually go and try it out. So I encourage you, as Waldek said, to go try it out. And thank you, learners, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And I want to, at this point, throw back to the studio. Back to you, Christina.
Thank you so much, Barnum and Waldek, for that great presentation on embedding your web app into Teams. Next up, we have a fantastic presentation from Bob and Rabia about how you can make your Teams app part of your day. Over to you guys.
Well, thanks, Christina, and hi, everyone. My name is Bob German, coming to you today from Boston, Massachusetts, and I think a lot of you probably know my colleague, Rabia Williams, who hails from Brisbane, Australia. We're both cloud developer advocates at Microsoft and really excited to be part of this program.
Thanks, Bob, for doing the intro for both of us. Hey, we have some live learners here with us, so please introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from.
Hi, I am Cassie Brevu. I am a cloud developer advocate at Microsoft, and I am based in Minnesota.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maxime Rouillet. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft as well. I am located in the magnificent city of Montreal.
Hey everyone, my name is Cecil Phillip, and I'm also a cloud developer advocate here at Microsoft, and right now I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Hi everyone, this is Hamida Khatri. I am a Microsoft Student Learn Ambassador, and I'm currently doing my PhD. I'm here learning about how this app development works in Microsoft Teams.
Okay, so in this segment, we're going to deep dive into some of the app capabilities that we saw earlier. And I have this pressing question, Bob. I saw Tomomi in H's segment where they're talking about the Teams toolkit and Human Generator in order to, there are like two tools you can use to build application for Teams. And I was wondering, and I'm sure the developers here also agree with me, what if I already have an application? Do I have to go back there and rewrite the code or use these tools in order to bring them to Teams?
A great question, and usually the answer is no. You can usually don't have to rewrite your existing application. In fact, the architecture of Teams makes it easy to reuse your existing application in many ways. So I'm not sure if you've seen this architecture diagram before, but this is the Teams architecture. Teams itself is really a brilliant facade on top of all of the different services in Microsoft 365. And so you can just add your services to that. This whole thing was designed for the cloud. So as long as you have a web page on, say, the internet anywhere, or a REST service that implements a bot anywhere on the internet, and we can reach that, you can actually reuse that functionality inside of Teams. Now, Teams just needs to know where is the web page, where is the web service, and that kind of thing. And that's where that manifest comes in that you've seen a couple of the other presenters already talking about. Manifest tells Teams how to stitch your application into the UI.
That's great. So Waldeck and Barnum took us through Teams capabilities, and in a few minutes I'll be taking you through messaging extensions. Folks, we have to jump into Bob's brain because he knows a lot about bots. Do you love bots, Bob?
I do. I really love bots. I think what really intrigues me about them is that they support natural language. So in a way, they're the closest user interface to the actual human experience. The thing is, of course, a bot is really just a user interface. So it is worth remembering that even though bots are really cool, you shouldn't have a bot just because they're cool. Make sure that you're solving the user's needs in the easiest way for them. So if it's easier for the user to click a tab and just see some information at a glance, rather than ask your bot questions to gather the information, the users are going to want the tab, right? Keep in mind the advantages of bots, an intuitive user experience, being able to face an ambiguous situation and just ask the bot for something, working where users already are, such as Microsoft Teams. And it's interesting that bots also have a self-generating history, so that chat that they leave behind can actually be useful if you use it correctly. And I think we'll both be showing a couple examples of that, as well as kind of small screen support. So another thing that you might or might not be aware of is that Teams apps can have different application scopes. So I'm sure you've seen this in the demos already. An app can run in a Teams channel or in a group conversation, in which case the audience for your app is a group of people, and you want to be mindful of that when designing your app. Then apps can also have a personal scope in which your app is accessed by individual users, and that's a great place to provide a summary or to notify users about something kind of specific to them. This distinction is especially important in the area of bots, which is why I bring it up here, because, well, maybe it's better if I just show you an example. Imagine that I am a consultant and I am walking out to my car after a long day of consulting work, and I go into Microsoft Teams and I'm going to bill my hours using this consulting bot. So all I have to do is ask for what I want. So I tell it that I worked 3 hours on the project, and it comes back with a confirmation card, and everything's there. So I don't really have to do very much. I just ask what I want, and I used the phone's speech to text there, which is built into most phones today. And the bot is responding just to make sure that it got everything right. And there we are. I'm done.
Right. So I have a question. So what if the user leaves out some key information? Do they have to actually follow a command to invoke a bot?
Well, yeah, that's a really good point, because that's in a way the difference between a command line and a bot. Because a command line, you have to learn it, and if you don't get the command right, you get an error message, and then you kind of have to fix your errors. That's no fun, right? So watch what happens if I leave out some information. So I worked on a project. I didn't give it any information about what project. And now it's going to ask me, what project do I want to build? Turns out there's 2 Contoso projects. So it's going to disambiguate which one. And I can answer colloquially, the first one. Or I can say, when did I deliver them? Last Tuesday, right? I don't have to go look up what date it is. We have a computer here. It can figure out the dates, right? And now it's finally got all the information. So this works pretty well in a one-on-one situation. However, it doesn't work so well in a group conversation. So here I am in a team, and the first thing you might notice is that I have to mention the bot to get its attention. And the reason for that is because otherwise the bot would see everything that we said to each other in the team, and it would be really confusing for everyone. So I said, consulting bot, add Alice to Contoso. So I'm trying to add somebody to my project, and the bot comes up with this handy little card. So it's gotten as much information as it can out of what I said. For instance, it knows Alice, but it doesn't know which Alice. And it knows Contoso, but it doesn't know which Contoso project. And then all these other details are just easier for me to fill out here on the screen. In the group conversation, if I had a back and forth discussion of all this with the bot, it would be really awkward. It would fill up pages of discussion and lose kind of the track of what the group was discussing. So instead, I'm just going to drop this confirmation card in place so that everybody on the team knows that Alice is joining our project, and I don't have to remember to send out an email or do some other form of out-of-band notification.
Oh, that's really cool. So we saw a bot adapting itself differently in a one-on-one chat and in a group chat. Sounds like a lot of people we know in real life.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so what other ways can we improve our application in Teams?
Well, the other big thing that I like to talk about is to use Azure Active Directory and the Microsoft Graph. Now, let me be clear, you don't have to use them. But if you have your own auth system, you can certainly use that. There's a pop-up mechanism in Teams for tabs where you can put your own login page in the pop-up and pass back to your tab running in an iframe some information that it needs for security. And the bot framework has an OAuth dialog. So if you have an OAuth compliant service, you can actually get the bot to log the user in. The problem is this isn't such a great user experience. It gets your app going quickly, but users now have to log in a second time to your app. And it's actually worse for the team owner, who might be the person deciding what apps to use. The team owner has to make sure everybody in the team has a login to your app. And then they have to, every time somebody joins or leaves the team, they need to update whatever permissions inside of your app. So imagine that somebody leaves the company, maybe under not the best circumstances. Do they really remember? Does the team owner really remember to go in and remove them from all the information that's in your app? That could become a real compliance problem. So single sign-on and authorization based on the team's membership is a huge benefit to usability. And then I think the best is if you also now use that Azure AD integration to call the Microsoft Graph and bring in information from what the user's doing every day in Microsoft 365. So let me show an example. This is a tab that's being used by a group of people who are doing a lot of field service visits. I'm logged in as Katie, and you can see that when I went into this tab, I didn't have to do another login. I was single signed in, and it knew who I was, and it's showing my field service visits for the day. So I can also look around and see what my teammates are doing. And if I click on one of the items, it's actually going to show me all the information I need to deliver this field service visit. And what's interesting is some of this information is in the app and some of it is in Microsoft 365. So all the documents, the contracts we have with this customer, photos from on site, those are in Microsoft 365. The calendars are coming from 365 all through the Graph API. Whereas all the other information is actually the app. Users don't want to think about where is this information. They want to think about how do I get my job done? And now Katie has one place to go for everything about this field service visit. Now, she notices that her appointments are kind of close together. She's not sure if she can get to that second one on time. So she's going to ask for some help. And the app actually will send a message into the Teams channel when she types that. Now here I am. Now I can click on this deep link and it'll bring me back into the correct team, the correct channel, the correct tab, and even the correct field service visit so that I can check out this work that Katie's asked for some help with.
That's super cool. How does that deep linking work? Can I take a sneak peek at your code? Would you mind?
No, actually, I'd love to show off the code. So the code is really pretty simple. Here we are in the main part of the app, and I'm using the Teams JavaScript SDK to get at the Teams context. And out of there, and some of this isn't on the screen, but out of there, I'm getting the group ID, which is the same as the team ID, is also called a Microsoft 365 group, the channel ID, the entity ID, which uniquely identifies this tab, and the sub-entity ID, which apps can use for anything they want to. So that's where I'm passing in the appointment information. And the only other thing I need is the Teams app ID, which is the app ID that goes in the Teams manifest. So now here's the code when somebody clicks the button to send that message that constructs that deep link URL. And so it's we'll post a link to the documentation on this with the show notes in the Learn Together website. So you don't have to try to memorize this, but you can see all that information is in the deep link. And now in order to send it into Teams, it's really easy. It's just a graph call. And so here you can see what that looks like to send a message into the channel. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward.
Super cool.
So thanks. It was a great question. And now I have a question for Rabia. I mean, deep links are one way to save time for users. And I know you've been doing a lot of work with messaging extensions. Can messaging extensions save time for users too?
Oh, heaps. So let me just go into our messaging extensions demo as well later on to show you how easy that is. Let's see a before scenario. We've got here Karen and Adil are two recruiters, and they are having a conversation of getting information about a candidate. And what's happening here is just a plain conversation, no messaging extension, nothing fancy. Adil has to go to a HR system and bring out information, copy it from some system, and then type in, format, etc.
So you mean somebody had to copy and paste all that information from the application? That sounds like an awful lot of work. Kind of a waste of time.
It is, and there are two things that could be improved here. Now, Karen did not have to go to another person to get information from a HR system if HR system lives within Teams. So you could bring that application and integrate into Teams, get the information and present it in a nice way. And I don't know about you, Bob, but for me, as soon as I see notification of millions of messages in a channel, I look at the first one that's presented well, formatted well, etc. So that there are two things that could be improved. Now I'll show you the other scenario where messaging extensions can help you find information and also present to you for getting that extra interaction or attention from your teammates. So let's go to this demo again. We've got the HR system. we have the same scenario of bringing information from the HR system. So here we have the talent bot to do that. We go to candidates and you search for the particular candidate. And here I'm showcasing a search-based messaging extension. There are two types. I think these were already touched base by Tomomi and Aicha. But yeah, here it is. I have my candidate information. It has brought back a nice looking card. There are buttons that you can click, schedule an interview with this candidate or see the feedback. So it's pretty clever. And you can see here another baby form, you could fill out and probably even have integration with Outlook. So you could schedule that meeting right away with the candidate. Now, how useful is that?
Oh, that's really awesome. So I can see that you can search for business data and actually bring it into the conversation with this. But I have also heard about action messaging extensions. How are those different?
Yeah, so if you want to perform action, again, from the whole compose area, so anything that lives in the compose area where you type in message is a messaging extension. So this one is a search-based one. In an action, you definitely are not obviously searching for information, but you're providing some information. Maybe it's an action. In our case here in the HR system, maybe you want to add a new candidate information or a new position that's opened up. So how would you do that? So let's go back again and see a action-based messaging extension. We are invoking the messaging extension at mentioning, or you could go and search for the app. Here we have a nice button that would go ahead and perform the action for you, which opens up a dialog box. As you can see here, a nice form that you can go in and fill all information. It needn't be a form that you're filling. It could also be just an information you're viewing about a person. So that's the action happening here. And right after I have made sure that everything is fine, I can confirm this, and then it goes back to the HR system again. So it's pretty useful because I have not gone into another application here. I have done everything. I've not opened up the HR system. I'm not logged in. I'm here in my teams, in my conversation with my teammates, and I have done all that. So this is how an action-based messaging extension would work. And hey, I can also put that nice card again and call out maybe a recruiter and get more attention to what I've just done.
So how does Team know about your messaging extension? How do you make it pop in the UI?
Right. So everything lives in the manifest file, the file that Bob was talking about earlier. So what I will do is I'll bring up the manifest file for this particular application and walk you through where the messaging extension is. So I already have this file open here. As you can see, this is a JSON file again, and you've got this compose extension area, which is where you're going to go ahead and put all the information out of your web service or where your messaging extensions are hosted. We did two things here. We did search for a candidate, and we also created a new position. You can see those here. So I searched for the candidate. This information would let the team know that this is what the compose or the messaging extension is for that. As you can see here, the type is query. That means it's a search-based messaging extension. We've got the open position one that that was an action-based messaging extension. Again, the type is action, and you've also got parameters that you can pass. So everything lives in here, and this is what Teams application uses to go ahead and then call your application or a web service that's hosted online.
So why is this a bot? What's that doing there technically?
Good question. So this is great because we're talking about messaging extensions, and you see a bot ID there. So messaging extension uses the bot framework in order to authenticate or find your or connect or communicate with your web service. So it's like a security thing that works out just fine. And for that, you need to either register a bot with channel registration, or you could, if you already have a bot, then you could go ahead and use that as well. So this is why we have a bot ID here.
Thanks.
That's great. So I can see that messaging extensions are useful in so many ways, but what if your app wants to interact with just one user in the group context? maybe in response to somebody clicking on a card or taking some other kind of action.
Yeah, that's good. So I guess what you're trying to find out is whether I always have to go to the compose area or not, or can I just do an action where
Exactly.
I, get my own form. Yeah. So for that, we have the task module. So task modules are basically, I would say they are these dialog boxes that would pop up and give you some information, or it would be a form again, like you saw earlier. And another good thing about task modules is that you don't necessarily have to build one if you already have one. And in our case, we were talking about a HR system, and I cannot think of any application like that not have a form of its own, right? So if you want to bring your forms in, you could use task modules. There are like little iframes that you can open up from your messaging extension. So maybe to make it a bit more clear, I'll go to another demos to show you how that works. So again, coming back to our HR system here, you can see I've got a candidate feedback form that is hosted online in our HR system. I've got some information on the feedback that I got for a particular candidate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this form into our Teams application inside a card. So you saw this already where we're bringing information of a candidate. We can open the candidate feedback, which pops up a dialog box. And this is exactly the same file or the same form you saw earlier brought back into Teams. So this benefits you because you don't have to rewrite things just because you have your application in Teams now. This is pretty useful. Again, you could either build your own task modules, or you could bring whatever you want to bring, as long as that URL is hosted online.
Well, that's really awesome. So it's really just another iframe, kind of like a tab, only a little bit more interactive. And
yeah.
One thing I noticed is like the cards, once you send them, they're static, but you could update them, but it's not quite the same. You are pulling in real-time data about that feedback, right? So that was really cool.
That's right. So yeah, there should be some code going in there and getting the parameters and filling out that form.
I guess another scenario that I'm wondering about is, what if the application just wants to send some information into a team, or maybe even broadcast information out to multiple teams?
So connectors are like one of my favorites. So custom connectors will do that job for you. Just all you have to keep in mind is that connectors are not interactive like a bot. They do whatever they've been told. So in our case, if you want to broadcast a news or a notification out to multiple teams, then you could use custom connectors. And let me just show you how you can configure this again in the same context of this HR system. We can have a connector maybe when a person or a candidate is offered a job. Let's just broadcast it out to all the recruiters or the HR managers. So to do that, they need to have a custom connector. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how that's done. So we've got a very busy recruiters channel here, so much going on. And they want to be updated about whatever is happening in the HR system when a candidate is offered a job, or let's call it in our context here, the stage change for a candidate. So they're going to go ahead and click on the connectors, and you can see here all the other built-in connectors that are already available. And my favorite one is the incoming webhook. If you've got a URL and you want to send data from a service to your team, you could use that one. But okay, I'm going to another topic, but let's just search for the talent one here, which is a custom connector. So we have the HR talent connector. I'm going to go ahead and configure for this particular channel in this team, which will then send me a notification whenever this action is happening. And I don't care where it happens because I need to just be informed, right? So I'm going to go ahead and save this in my channel. So you can see here that now I've already set it up for my team to get all the information and updates. Now let's go back to the recruitment planning channel, which is where all the good things happen, because we are here in the hiring board and we're going to give someone a good news by giving them a job. So we've got Linda here. Her interview went fantastic and she's going to be offered a job. So I'm going to change the stage for Linda to offered. And the moment I do that, you can see that the recruiters channel is already lighting up because the notification has been sent out by your connector. and again in the general channel as well at the same time. So imagine the kind of time you're saving for anyone who's going to sit in the back of the Teams and start typing this notification or send an email. That's not going to happen when you have a custom connector. So it's pretty useful, and you can see here the connector not only gives a notification, but it also provides all the information that the teammates need in order to understand what kind of change happened and the candidate information, etc. So I find it pretty useful, and I'm always excited about talking about connectors.
Well, that's really awesome. And I notice the connector sent, is that another adaptive card?
Yes, it is.
So maybe you could just clarify a little bit about adaptive cards. I mean, we've been using them a lot here, but what is an adaptive card anyway?
Yeah, so look, I like to call adaptive cards as these actionable good-looking cards because they're so good looking. And they're no stranger to you. Like if you have been using an adaptive card, you have been using your Outlook to approve some emails, then you have been using an adaptive card. If you're a Windows user, then definitely your timeline, whatever cards you see there is an adaptive card. Surprise. And your Windows notification that you like to ignore is an adaptive card as well. So any and any notifications sent out by bots and Teams, most of the time they're adaptive cards if you see buttons and stuff there. So yeah, it's really powerful, and they're very interactive content from your application embedded into another application. And the good thing is, well, I don't know if you've noticed, but you see the same adaptive card example, not the timeline one, but the others. They're all the same card, but they act or look differently in different apps. So wherever it's hosted, if it's an Outlook, it shows up like an Outlook card. If it's a notification, it looks like a notification. It doesn't look like a Outlook approval card, right? So it blends well into any experience. And there's a tiny catch there, because you really don't have control for the UI aspect of an adaptive card, which is great because that's what we want. You want things to blend in. And it's also open source, so you can go ahead and see how this is wired up, and also reusable. You can create reusable templates and the templating service, which basically would differentiate it from your data, your template from your data. In that case, you could keep reusing the template anywhere you want.
Wow, these adaptive cards look so useful, and I love when I learn something new, getting my hands dirty and actually learning and how to use it. So what can viewers do to get started building these, and what language is it written in anyways?
Take a guess. F#, C#? Well, no, you just have to know JSON, so which is really cool. Like even consultants can go in and create their adaptive cards to it. And you know what? Since you asked that question, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how you can build one. And all you need is a browser and an internet connection that works, which most of the time doesn't work for me. So we have here adaptivecards.io. This is the site you need to memorize, but don't worry if you haven't, we have links to everything. So adaptivecards.io is where you go, and you can see here it's a site that you can, this is your go-to site if you want to build one. So you've got samples here. There are heaps of samples that you can take a sneak peek at and see how it's being built. You can see here there are all JSON, and yeah, it is. And you've got the data here, you've got the adaptive card here, you can see how it looks here. And another aspect is, if you don't want to divide your data from your template, you could also uncheck this templating option, but I suggest templating is so much easier. So you can view that as well. And another good thing is you have a designer. So this is where you would come in and go crazy about your designs. So you can drag and drop the elements here and see how it looks. You can see how it looks inside a Microsoft Teams light mode. You can see how it would look in a Windows notification. So it's pretty handy here. I would say, all the work you do for adaptive cards get done here.
So did you know that there's also a Visual Studio Code extension?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, it's not quite as cool as the website, but it's really handy if you're already in Visual Studio Code.
Sounds amazing. So looks like the sausage is made. Now, how do we get it out? So how do you get your application out to your users?
Well, let me just do a little demo and show what some of those options are. So here, you've already seen App Studio quite a bit, and in all the other demos, I'm sure. And really, now you know that this is just a JSON editor that makes it a little easier because it knows the format of everything. By the way, a really great tool when you're using App Studio or editing the manifest is the manifest schema, which again we'll post in the notes, because that describes what every single field does and how Teams uses it in a lot more detail. Anyway, when you've got your manifest the way you want, you've seen people install it, and that would install it for just the developer to use. I'm going to actually show downloading it. And the other option, of course, is publishing, which would publish it into our Teams store. And that's a whole process. We'll provide a link in the Learn Together site on how to do that. I'm just going to download it. And this is something I might do if I was either moving it to another tenant, or maybe I'm going to install this for use within an enterprise. So what I downloaded was a zip file. And here's the zip file. Inside is that same manifest file that you saw before. So again, you don't need any special tools. All you need is the ability to edit a JSON file and the ability to make a zip archive. So now let me upload that into our app catalog. So here under apps in the Teams sidebar, you'll see kind of all the apps for my tenant. So my tenant is called MS Labs. So built for MS Labs, that's my tenant app catalog. And below that are all the apps that are available in the store. So from other vendors and from Microsoft. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this, and you'll see I have a couple of choices. I could upload this for me or my team, which is sort of like the install button in App Studio. And I have to have permission to do that, by the way. That's turned off by default. So you want to kind of maybe bake cookies for your admin and make sure that they know that they're really loved and that they want to turn on your ability to upload apps. And maybe even upload the app to the tenant app catalog, which I'm only able to do because I'm a tenant admin. So I'm going to go find that zip file and upload it. And there it is. So now notice that a lot of the information that was stitched into that manifest file is now here for the user to view as they're deciding whether or not to install the app. I'll go ahead and add this to a team. And I think I'll add it to the emergency response team. And that's all I need to do. So this is how users can find your app and install it either into a team or for their own use. In this case, I need to configure one of the tabs, and I'm done. And the app is ready to go. The bot is ready and everything like that.
So users need to look in the store, right? So is there any other way you can push these apps to users?
Absolutely. So an admin can set up something called a Teams app policy. So what you're looking at here is the screen in Teams administration. And notice that there's a Get Started app that I've proactively installed and pinned for every user that this policy applies to, which might be the whole company. So now users are going to come in and they're going to see my app pinned to the very top of their navigation bar. And it's that easy. Users don't have to install it. It's just there. And by the way, this is the this particular app is the Learning Pathways app, which is it's a free one from Microsoft. And again, there's pointers in the notes on how to set that up as sort of some nice built-in end user training for users. The other useful tool is a Teams template. So here I've got a screenshot. The admin is creating a new team template for staffing projects. And by the way, you can do all this with the Graph API. So your app could actually set this up as part of the install process. So now when the user goes to create a new team, one of the choices is a staffing team. And that team has the app pre-installed so that after it's created, it's already got everything that was in that Teams template, including extra channels, all the various features of Teams turned on and off, and apps installed automatically as part of creating that team.
Now that we have shown you how to build and deploy your application, what are you going to build today? And please visit aka.ms/learntogether to find the links to all the resources that we discussed today. And also for your learning path, go to aka.ms/devapps4teens. Now over to you, Christina.
And welcome back to Learn Together. Look who we just found.
I was just wandering around, because, don't tell anyone, but I come here because they have sodas.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while I run out of Dr. Pepper at home and
you have to show up. But admit it, you were having so much fun watching Learn Together at home.
Yes!
You had to come join us, right?
I went on there and I was like talking at the party and I was like, this is so cool. There's people at the office. I put my mask on. Well, obviously we're apart, but I have my mask on and they're like, hey Seth, grab a mic and go on. I'm like, I don't know how to do this kind of stuff.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm so glad to be here.
And we've had a great Learn Together event. We're going to give you guys a little bit of a breather. We're going to go to Cecil, and then we're going to be back to wrap things up and talk with some of our watch parties. See you in a second.
Why don't we take a second and try out this breathing exercise called snake breathing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have my good posture, right? My back straight, my chest is out, and I'm going to inhale very deeply in my nose. And then I want to exhale throughout my mouth. And I'm going to hold a very low hissing sound and like slowly release all that air that's inside of my chest, right? So let's try it out, right? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, inhale. Okay, I think that's enough. I think you get the point. But definitely try this a few times on yourself. Try it with your family members. Maybe even make it a competition and see who can hold their breath the longest. Anyway, take care and enjoy.
And welcome back to Learn Together. I'm Christina Warren.
I'm Seth Warren.
Yes, and we've had a great event. What we're going to do right now, I've learned so much about building apps for Microsoft Teams. What about you, Seth?
The thing that I'm most excited about is that that's where I do all of my work.
Yep.
Imagine being able to be more productive by doing the extra things that we've learned about today.
I agree. And also, imagine being able to build apps for it to, in my opinion, I want to have a Taylor Swift music player. That's the app I'm going to build.
Well, I think we're going to have to share the development of that because I am a T-Swift fan as well.
Which I appreciate. Now, we've had watch parties all over the world joining in with us, and we're going to go now to a watch party hosted by our own Emily Rose. Emily, how are you?
I'm living the dream. This has been a lot of fun to experience as a completely new format to something that we're all pretty familiar with. So
yeah, no, it's fantastic, and I love to see the people in your watch party. We have so many. Oh my gosh, we see cats, and we have seen so many of our presenters who've been able to present this content to us and we've learned so much from. Hello, everybody. It's so good to see you all. So what was your kind of biggest takeaway, would you say, from the event? What was maybe something you learned or something that you're excited to dive more deeply into now that the event is over?
Yeah, I would say for me, the biggest thing that has me excited is just hearing the feedback from customers around the excitement of being Teams users that maybe didn't necessarily know that this was something that they could do. I had several people in my stream that were super excited about meetings extensibility and things like that. So I think that's it. I'm most excited to see what people come up with now that folks that have been using Teams are aware of what's possible.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I'm so glad people like you are going to be able to get that sort of feedback so that we can build that more into the Teams product. What's the best way for people to give you that sort of feedback?
Me directly or our team?
Or your team, yeah, or in general, just what's the best way, for the users out there, the developers out there, maybe the would-be developers out there, students, startups, whatever. What's the best way for them to, get their feedback?
I would say engaging directly with. A lot of us are on Twitter. If Twitter is the medium that you use, pretty much everyone here that you see above me, all these pretty faces are highly engaged on Twitter. We have obviously our first-party docs sites and social media of various channels. I'm starting a TikTok channel too. If you want to,
nice.
Learn about tech through that.
But you're gonna have a TikTok channel now. Will it be maybe Teams Talk
Definitely, yeah. I think so. The thing that I'm personally really interested in seeing is just how the changes recently in the world have kind of affected how people are collaborating. Obviously, being a part of the Teams team, that's something that I'm interested in. But yeah, just seeing how all these things are merging and meshing together is really exciting for me. So
I love
I'm
it.
looking forward to it.
I love it. All right, so stay tuned to Emily's TikTok. Stay tuned to all the different ways we can collaborate. Thank you so much for all the presenters, because you did an amazing job. I learned so much. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to bring in Todd Anglin again, and Todd and I were going to kind of close things out. Todd.
Hello again. Seth, hello.
Hello to Seth. Seth is, we are so on the fly here, we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
Seth can't even hear anything. So
oh, no, me and Todd, we can read each other's minds.
Yeah, he can, but here's the thing.
Hearing
Seth is just here to look pretty, but he's also just good at ambiance.
I thought this was a Wendy's. Obviously not the right place.
Ma'am,
this is a
Microsoft office.
This is a Microsoft, okay.
Yeah. No, it's been a fun day. I think we covered a lot of ground, and I know for a lot of people who watch today, as I said up front, we don't expect you to have learned or mastered things. So that's why we updated Microsoft Learn with content that maps to each segment you saw today. So really soon, right after this stream wraps up, the Teams Learn Challenge is opening up, so you can win some prizes while you go through Microsoft Learn and actually get hands-on with what you saw in today's stream. So that link again, akms/Teams Learn Challenge. It'll open up, head out there, jump into Learn, and try it out. I mean, it's the holidays. You're wrapping up your main projects for the year, hopefully. Great time to go build that Taylor Swift
yes.
app. I think that'd be a great one.
I agree. So aka.ms/Teams Learn Challenge.
Dev apps for Teams too, make sure.
Yeah, Dev apps for Teams is where you can get great resources to learn more about getting started with Microsoft Teams, and then the Teams challenge. Teams Learn Challenge, where we've got prizes. Seth, you'll like this. Xbox, Xbox, what is it?
Game Pass.
Game Pass. There we go. Game Pass Ultimate. We've got Game Pass Ultimate subscriptions that we're giving out. So Seth will like that. Anything else you kind of want to say when we're kind of closing things out here, Todd? We've had a great day of learning. And Todd, I think you're on mute.
I think it muted me automatically.
Wow,
it did not
phrase of 2020.
Honestly,
I
wanted to make this
that
more
was the
authentic.
most Teams moment ever.
When we go back to real life, I'm going to walk up to people and just be like,
right. Just start moving your mouth. I wanted this to feel more authentic for you. So no, I would say the comments we saw on Twitter, the watch parties, those were all super fun. It was fun seeing people use together mode for their own watch parties. The underwater scene, I've not seen that one before. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check that out. But I will remind everyone that we want to help you out and make you successful building apps for Teams. So if you came out of today's live stream or you're watching this on demand and you have an idea for an app, but you're not quite sure how to make it, let us help you out. Head on over to akms/Teams App Consult, CONSULT. Share with us a little bit about what you're thinking about, and the M365 developer advocacy team, my team, will try to help you all out in getting on the right path and help you refine your idea so you can be successful building those elevator music apps, those Taylor Swift apps, or those productivity apps that make everyone's life a little easier inside of Teams. So check that out.
I love it. aka.ms/Teams App Consult, also aka.ms/DevApps for Teams, and aka.ms/Teams Learn Challenge. So
yeah. And if you forget those links, that's a lot of links. I know we've got them all on the resources page afterwards. So don't worry about it. It's all there. You can find it. We'll make it easy for you.
Yeah, we'll make it easy for you if you couldn't follow me trying to read off of a weird computer screen.
I followed.
Seth followed. But no, we've really enjoyed having you all here. We've all enjoyed learning together. We even got a new learner at the very end, which is awesome. Thank you for being here, Seth.
That's right.
Thank you all of you out there for watching and learning with us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everyone.